this is the second chapter. I'm still not sure. It's a chapter. And today I really wanted to talk about, this book is really about what it was to find how was in my search for home and myself in different places. So this is what I call my first home. And I'm really excited to share this piece of myself with you guys. I'm also very nervous, but I'm excited about it. At the end, I want to share a little bit about my writing process, and I'm going to open up the floor. My friend Mark, he actually wrote a beautiful post today about like a letter to his anxiety. And it was such a beautiful post that I told him if he could share it today at the end of my reading, because I think a lot of us can relate to what he wrote, and he spoke about it so beautifully. So I wanted him to add that at the end of my reading. So thank you so much for being here. It really means the world to me. I think that, you know, we all look for home in different places, and we all remember where we grew up in, you know, kind of the way who surrounded us, who took care of us, and who nurtured us in kind of our states in our younger years, and when we were kind of most vulnerable. So this is a dedication to my grandmother. She was very special to me, and it was inspired because I want her memory to live on regardless of my life. And I want this to be a dedication to all the women and all the humans that took care of us when we were most vulnerable in our life. So that's really what I wanted to share with you guys there. So thank you for coming. Okay, so I think we can get started. Let me just check my phone to see if anybody's messages me, because sometimes they'll message me and be like, I can't get on. Okay, I think they're figuring the right way in. All right, guys, let me, Daniela's coming in. Amazing. Stacy, thanks for coming.
I brought a snack.
Issa, what do you have?
I have M&Ms.
Oh, I am #jealous right now.
I've been waiting all night for this. I feel like I'm at the movies. Like I'm gonna watch a great movie.
I poured myself a glass of wine, but every time I drink wine, or like half of the time, I cry. So we'll see what happens.
Sean's here.
Oh my god, this is exciting.
I know. I'm really excited for everybody that's made it. Honestly, it's so wonderful and beautiful.
Well, and Gisela, you look kind of like a badass boss. You look very like the choker. We were just talking about chokers. Paloma and I had a whole thing about chokers.
Paloma.
The childhood choker. You're bringing it back with your heart in the back.
Yeah,
I love it. And the lipstick, a Paloma suggestion. Always loving it.
Don't accept yourself, guys. Be a version of you with lipstick.
Definitely.
I'm gonna have to invest in lipstick. I have like old lipstick.
But you know, it doesn't matter the price. Like literally just get the old shit.
Annie.
You know.
I like that purple. I want to pull off some purple.
Honestly, it's my staple color. This quarantine hasn't inspired me to wear it, but this is what I usually wear on the reg, thanks to Paloma, because she inspires me every day to wear lipstick and be the best version of myself, you know? Because the insides don't matter, as she says.
Your insides are just something for your outsides. Yay! Teach them young, teach them early.
Listen, that's the number one lesson I came out of my mentorship with Paloma.
That's the thing. Day one, do not accept anything about yourself. That is giving up.
Oh my god.
Stella, was your daughter wearing a one-piece cheetah bathing suit today? Did I see that?
No, I don't think. Oh,
there was some sort of cheetah something, and it was
a vest.
Oh, I was in love with it.
Yes.
I wanted an older version.
Yes.
And my mom always says, well, you should make it. I'm like, I can't learn to sew also in this quarantine. Come on. It's a lot of tasks.
Yeah, no. She's a little fashionista. Actually, my cousin, she's here, Natasha, she always hands me down all these like super chic clothing from her daughter to my daughter. And I'm like, girl, where are you shopping? Like, I don't go out and find these things. And she finds her like, she got me like these netted, kind of like, not netted, but like sequenced tights for my daughter. I'm like, she dresses better than me. Like, I'm like, have to maintain the
That's too
balance.
good.
You know, you have to maintain the balance. Then they think they're better than their mothers. Like, no.
Yeah, they think they're more fly, and you're like, mm-mm,
No. Exactly,
mm-mm.
exactly.
Contain that flyness, girl. Contain that flyness.
Amazing. Okay, so I think most of us are here. Again, thank you so much. So this chapter is really, it's called My Home, My First Home. Sorry, I'm just trying to find where I put my writing. And where the heck did I put it? It's like, oops, I closed it, guys. I did. Let me find it again. Where is it? Oh my God, where do I put it?
Isa, when they have Zoom snack share, oh my God, we're gonna have the best time.
When is Zoom Snack Share?
It's gonna come out probably in 2090, in the next 50 years or so.
All right.
Well,
Well, I know.
No, I'm
Well,
joking.
we'll still be friends. I mean, we'll still be friends.
100%. We'll just
We'll
be
consult on these things. We'll consult on it.
I'm like, what's your snack?
What do you go snack? Then it'll be holographic. We can like start to share holographic snacks.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
All right, guys, let's do this. Thank you so much. Again, finally found my piece of writing. It navigated to another tab. Where did it go? Okay. Amazing. All right, I'm so nervous. Okay. Memories are like clouds passing through on a windy day. You can see them moving past you. If you're not fast enough, they will fade from your view, never to be seen again. You cannot hang on to them, but you can experience them for what they are, memories. Chapter 2, My First Home. I come from the valley that lays between the mountains in the town of Palmira, Colombia. Landing for the first time there after 8 years of being away, so much had changed, but what was undeniably once my home, you just can't forget. The smell of freshly burned caña, sugarcane, the strong odor of gasoline from the motorcycles roaming by, and the smell of damp earth after a late afternoon thunderstorm. As the doors of the Alfonso Bonilla International Airport slid open, my face was engulfed by the heat of the day. I inhaled deeply, and just like that, my body knew it was home. A sense of grief washed over me. There I was, 15 years old, not the same child that left at 7, but everything I had left behind had changed. My home in Colombia died with my grandma. She was a small, fiery woman. I guess you have to be, if you had mothered 12 children on all your own as a seamstress. She was a warrior, a leader, and the strongest woman I knew. There wasn't a day in my life where I did not wake up without vallenato or mariachi music blasting in the background. She was always the first to wake up and the last to go to sleep. Making dresses and altering clothing was how she made a living. And during the early mornings and the late nights was when she was most at peace. I could see it in her wrinkled smile when she kissed me goodnight. My memory of her lived not just in my mind, but in my body. She had a way of making you feel loved when she was around you. But her death destroyed all that was left of my father, all that was kind and good in him. With her dying, my dad's heart died. He became more ruthless than ever. I can't blame him. Losing your mother and not being able to bury her can really break someone. He had to choose. Go back home and bury his mother, all while risking his family's refugee status, or stay. He was heartbroken. We all were. My grandma was more than just mi abuela. She was my protector. She stopped my father from beating me more times than I can remember. She let me sneak into her bed at night when I kept seeing monsters in the shadows. Tears flow down my face as I remember this woman who would let me hide my face between her breasts, and she would smell of flowers, who had kept her family together against all odds. With a sewing machine and a warrior attitude, she was home. Mi abuela, whose my last goodbye was through a phone in a halfway refugee house in Scarborough, where the phone connection was so spotty you could barely make out her words, where FaceTime did not exist. That was the last time I remember hearing her say my name and telling me how much she loved me. I owe the way I walk in this world to her. She could take a simple cloth and turn it into something beautiful. She was like a rock in the middle of a river, standing solidly while the water tried to shape her, move her, and break her. She never did. Going back home after 8 years and not having her present was and still is one of the saddest moments in my life. I used to hide my face in her bosom when the world became too hard to handle, when the fight between my parents was too much to bear and their yelling echoed in my head louder than my own voice. When I was afraid, I could not put into words my fears. She would sit with me and let me rest my head on her chest and cry out the pain my heart and body felt after each punishment from my father for saying the wrong thing, being in the wrong place, or standing in his way. She would not say one word. She would just sit there and let me cry, knowing that my pain was her pain. There's something so painfully nostalgic writing about your country, the place of your birth, that you did not have a choice in leaving or staying. That the decision to become an immigrant was one that was not yours to make, but to trust that the humans that brought you into this world made the best decision for themselves and for you. I never had a place to call home, not even in Colombia. We would move between living with one grandmother or the other. Home was not a geographical place. It wasn't until the day I left Colombia with my parents that I realized that the only home I knew was between the breasts of my grandmother, who, when the world got too big for me, she would let me rest my head on her. She smelled like flowers and sweat from ironing and sewing all day. While my parents were too young to know how to create a home for me, she was always there, blasting mariachi music every weekend morning, wearing her favorite royal blue dress with peep-toe black shoes. She was going nowhere special, but in her world, she always wanted to be ready for whatever may come next. An unexpected visitor dropping by was never to be greeted in pajamas. That was her rule. She was the matriarch, a single mom of 12 children, all with a man who acted more like a stray dog than a father, coming and going as he pleased, only coming back to eat enough to survive on the streets. He never was around, not for his kids or his grandchildren, yet my grandmother was always graceful about the whole ordeal, especially when women without a man in the house were seen as loose or damaged. Yet to many that knew her, she was a pillar of strength and grace. She was my first home. She would intervene when my father went from punishing me to taking out his life frustrations on me. She would sing away the nightmares when the darkness scared me. She made me costumes and dresses so that I could perform dances in family gatherings. She saw me without a question of a doubt. In her eyes, I could do no wrong. And in a tumultuous house with my father, it was exactly what I needed. She was his mother, and he would still bow his head to her if he overstepped. I would cry if I was alone with my dad at home and she wasn't around. I was bare without her protective shield around me. I would hide under the bed, waiting for her to come from the Galeria, the street market. She was my home, and she saved my butt from being beaten more times than I can remember. She would iron my Catholic school uniform and buff my black school shoes if I forgot. She would let me sit with her in the red rocking chair as we listened to Vicente Fernandez. In all my memories, I can't seem to remember her smiling. Her face bared the pain of a woman who had lived a hard life, but her eyes tell a different story. They were soft, gentle, deep. She would tell me 1,000 things with her eyes, her disappointment of my father's action or my mother's lack thereof. Mi abuela was everything and so much more. Leaving my first home behind to migrate to the States is imprinted in my mind forever. Weeks before our departure to Houston, she went out to the market and bought the best fabric she could find. They had cartoons on them, one red, the other blue. She surprised us with our own matching dresses to wear on the day that we left. I never felt so special, knowing that with me, I was taking a piece of her. The day of our departure came, May 10th, 1998. A yellow cab pulled up in front of our door. With 3 bags and all our belongings to our name, my father, my mother, my little sister, and I looked through the back window of the car and waved goodbye to my first home. With my grandmother stayed all of me, the version of me that was seen, heard, loved, protected by her. The little 7-year-old girl who was in that taxi though with her parents, was about to embark on a whole new journey, a painful journey without her first home. So that's it. You guys are so, thank you.
That was amazing,
Oh
Giselle.
my God.
I had to read that 3 times so I could do it without crying. I read it to my mom and I was like bawling my eyes out. So I had to like practice reading this because literally it just like, it really was a tough thing to read and remember this.
I felt it. I felt it. I was like, I felt it in your voice. You were like,
I was like really
oh
holding
girl,
it.
it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. It was really piecing together, and that's why my first thing about memories feeling like passing clouds was such an important thing, because that's how I feel they are, and I'm piecing them together and trying to catch them before they disappear. And thank you so much, guys. I would love to hear what really stood out for you. And then I have a couple of prompts, and then I would love to share Mark's what we call it, story on letter to anxiety. Anybody want to go first? Give me some feedback. What stood out for them? What they liked? What really resonated?
I love everything. I mean, I missed that other part because my damn grocery arrived at the same time. But no, I heard most of it, and I relate a little bit too in your story. Like my grandmother were very special too. So I can feel why, you know, the emotion is there. Absolutely. I think that the beautiful part about you, Gisela, is that you just are such an authentic and strong, vulnerable, and I admire that tremendously, because it takes a lot of courage to share what you're sharing, and I'm very grateful that you are. So thank you for that.
Are you Melanie?
Yes.
Oh my God, we've heard such amazing things about you.
Oh my God.
I'm like, who is this woman with a French accent? I'm like trying, and I'm like, oh, it's Melanie.
Yes, this is Melanie.
We love you through Gisela. We don't know you, but we've heard beautiful, beautiful.
Well, I'm very grateful to have Gisela in my life, because she is inspiring me tremendously. And yeah, I just admire her very much. I think that I've always seen her write a book, and I'm just so happy that she's doing it. And I know that I can only imagine how challenging sometimes it is, but like, I know she's got beautiful friends that she also mentioned to me that is pushing her, and I love that. I love to see, you know, that she's progressing, and I can't wait to hold this book in my hand or virtually, because it might be like an ebook, but whatever it is,
There's definitely going to be printed versions. I can't wait. Like, Paloma actually gave me a good idea this week. She's like, print out the chapters that you do have so you can start feeling it in your hands. And I think that's such a good idea to just kind of help me put the pieces into something material and feel like it's coming together, you know? So
that's such a Paloma. Honestly, you women is just, I know Gisela told me a lot of beautiful things about you as well. And I think that it's so important to have such wonderful friends around us, you know, and I just love Gisela's community, and you go, girl. You know, I'm just so excited to hear the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter, and many more books to come.
Stop it, you're the best. I love you, Melanie. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think I want to just piggyback off what Melanie said, because I think she's totally right. Chapter by chapter by chapter, that's a gift to watch you develop this book. And I know Paloma has put your feet to the fire. She's really good at that. But she's so right to do it, because this momentum and this energy and this feeling, like it's so tangible, and I can almost, you know, I could feel it in my own throat when you were speaking. Like I had to lay down and I had to almost brace myself, because I knew as you began that it was going to be, you know, emotional, and it was going to be something that I was going to have to like pause and really take in. And we've talked about how wonderful it is to hear you speak this story, and, and really even thinking about ways that you can convey this book at the end. If it's an ebook, can you record it? Like how because it's just so powerful, and the way you say these words, and the way that you speak about the food and the music, and it's not you do such a beautiful job with sensory detail. Like, you are so descriptive in your writing. It's really, I love the way that you use like classic, your classic symbolic, language. And I like, my thing was the bosom, the grandmother's bosom. And like, I think, she let me put my face in her bosom. Like, it's such an intimate role that a mother does for a child, and like the grandmother with the child, like what a visual. And it was just such a strong visual, and you really drilled it home. Because you said it, I think, 3 times. And so you really brought it home, and to use her as home, I thought was really a beautiful, beautiful symbolism, and this concept that we are home when we are with someone that feels like that. And it when you can do that, and it made me think of who represents home for me. I think that's really powerful, because we all have a home, and it smells like your grandmother, and it smells like her bosom. And I just think you did a phenomenal job. I thought that was just beautiful. So well done. Really awesome.
Stella, I agree with both. And I'm going to add to that, I could really feel that you have done the work, the process, to get to the understanding of what it means to you, because that's what is the differences between superficial storytelling, like superficial acting, and really something that's moving you. You can tell that you have done the process, and that you have an understanding that is already compassionate. It's not a victim. It's not, this is just what happened to me, but there's so many layers to this. There's like a foundation, and I could feel that when I was listening. I felt the foundation, and that's what made me not believe it more, but feel it with you. Amazing. I can't wait to hold this book, and I'm proud of you. I don't know you for long, but I know from what I know that you've been doing the work and showing up for yourself, which is incredible. And also you inspire me, because I'm also in a similar process in writing, and you inspire me to just get in the fire, and get burned a little bit. It's okay. Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, Kadi. I think that, it's so important. Like, today I was just doing everything to kind of love myself through like the fear, because it literally felt like I wanted to jump out of my skin. And I think part of that is like sitting with the most uncomfortable. And I think that that's the work that I've done. For me to be able to portray this story the way I want to portray it, I've had to have seen it. And the funny things, like it took me a long time to see it this way, to really create the symbolism for myself and feel it that way. And it's something that I carry within myself. And this process has allowed me to really solidify it in a very visual way. And I'm so grateful for it, because sometimes it feels like it's more of a channeling. It feels like it's coming through me, and it doesn't feel like, I feel like I'm surprised by my own story. Like sometimes I'm writing and then I go back, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? You know what I mean? And it's funny, but I found my quirk, and it is wake up, have a paper beside me.
Yeah.
And literally that's how I wrote this first chapter before it was edited. It was literally paper beside me. My eyes were barely open. And I was just like, I thought of my grandma. I don't know why I was thinking about her in that moment, but I did. And I was just so inspired. And the first sentence I even told Paloma was, it was in Spanish, is like, no quiero que mi historia muera conmigo, que tu historia muera conmigo. Like, I don't want her story to die with me. I want it to live on. I want my daughter to be able to read this. I want, and I think that I've just been playing around with process of like when I'm more inspired. And also Paloma did say, if she gave me a deadline, thank you, Paloma. That was bomb. She's like, if you don't give this to me by 1 p.m. at this time, then you're PayPaling me $50. And I'm like, no.
It was too long between after the first chapter, and I said, okay, do you want me to put some fire to your ass? She's like, yes. And I know that like work fills the container that you put it in. If you say, if we were to say a week from now, she would give it to me 6.5 days. So I said, give it to me tomorrow by 1 p.m. And you got to know what motivates people. So I said, or you send me $50. Do you agree? Yes. And sure enough, at 1:01 p.m., which we will forgive, it ended up in my messenger, read through it, and it didn't need editing really. It was beautiful as it was, and yeah. And so it's funny because when Giselle and I were talking about like, okay, what is the next chapter? I was like, the first chapter she got them because it was intense and it was raw. I was like, what is the second chapter? Where does this crazy story start? Because you can start at any place in the story, And I was like, well, we want to grab these readers. Why don't we start with the sexcapades? Why don't we start with the fun, crazy years? Because guys, that chapter, I don't know when it's going to be. You better fucking put that on your calendar. Oh my God. Trust me, guys, we're going to get all the best juicy shit out of her on that chapter. But when she sent me chapter 2, and it was about her grandmother, I was like, okay. And then I started reading it, and I was like, it totally makes sense. The lineage of like a strong, powerful woman and everything that she holds, that's what this story is about. And so, anyways, very, very excited. And just like you guys, can't wait to hold the book in my hand. I'm going to be building a bookshelf specifically for this book. Love you all, and I'm happy to see everybody who came out to support her.
No, thank
Well,
you.
Paloma, you're amazing, to be honest with you. Like, Gisela has mentioned so many good things about you, and it's amazing. Kick her butt more, because she's just producing, and she's going for it, and I love seeing that.
I love it. We need to have a real date, us two.
Yes, absolutely, because I need some ass kicking too. Gisela's doing that for me.
I live to kick
passing it forward with me.
Oh, trust me, her ass is being kicked into high gear too.
Oh yeah, she's putting me outside my comfort zone and doing all type of stuff that I'm not comfortable with. But hey, we all learn in this life, and I think that's why we're all in it together. So I have to run to my next call, but Gisela, congrats. It makes me so happy.
Can I just take a quick screenshot so that I don't miss all the beautiful faces that were here? Smile, pretend we just... You're so funny. I see your face. You're like...
Let's have a party when this is all over so I can meet all your friends, Gisela.
Yes, definitely. Katia, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your feedback. Honestly, I really appreciate it. Stella, I think you wanted to go? Okay, let me unmute you.
I just wanted to say that congratulations. I mean, it's authentic. You don't even, like one of your friends said, it's like, you don't have to make it up. It's coming from within, from way, way deep in there. And I didn't cry because your strength didn't allow me to cry, because I could see you trying to hold strong. But what was incredible was that you took me down memory lane, because I witnessed some of those moments. And the minute you spoke about the deep blue dress and the lipstick, you made me relive that moment, because that was her. And when you said you never receive a guest without being ready, it was like, oh my God, yes, that's like a memory that's vivid in my heart. And to see, and it's so ironic, because I was speaking of her today, and I was saying how I never got to say thank you to her for little things she did for me as well. So when you're sharing your story, you just took me down memory lane. So a memoir is the space and the platform to speak about your memories, but you took us down that memory lane as well. And that is, I don't know what in the reader's world or writer's world it's called, but I think it's a phenomenon that you're able to let us or make us live those moments. And it's because you have a very descriptive manner as well. So, and that was unbelievable. I mean, if that's the beginning, I can't wait for the next one. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Girl, you know I've always been proud of you. You know I admire you. You know I respect you. And I think you've come a long way. And to be able to now put it into words and share your story, my hat off to you. And you never cease to amaze me. I love you.
Thank you, Stella. By the way, guys, this is Natalie's mom.
I was gonna say it's so
Yeah.
crazy. Okay,
What?
so Estela, when you started talking, I was like, wait a minute.
She's my dad's cousin, so she's family. She's my dad's cousin.
Your face is the same. The way you talk is the same. I went to school with Natalie and actually became friends with Gisela, like very close friends with Gisela separately. And then Gisela invited me once to like a family member's birthday party, and I was dancing. No, Natalie asked me to dance at her dad's birthday.
Herman's birthday. She danced at Herman's birthday, 50th. I was there too, yes.
And I didn't know Gisela was gonna be there. It's crazy. And I've also like been in school with Amanda. And anyways, it's just crazy.
Wow.
So, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Daniela.
Daniela. Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you for being here, Stella. Honestly, there's something so healing about, even when I read this to my mom, it was just like, there's something so healing about being able to read your version, your life story to people who have experienced it in some shape, way, or form. And it's like, it was like, this one was, I had to practice this chapter like 3 times because I was breaking down every time that I was reading it. So I appreciate
Well, you did amazingly.
Thank you.
You did amazingly. And I think the suggestion of you reading it is like, wow, yeah.
I definitely
You
want
are
to
a good reader as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stella. I appreciate it. Anybody have anything they want to share with us about?
Yeah, I got, can you hear me all right?
Yes, Sean, yes.
Well, like in the beginning it was, I mean, the whole thing was, but especially in the beginning, I was very struck by how like vivid it was, and it was like transporting, and like other people said, I could definitely feel it. And Paloma was saying how good it was that you started this chapter here, and I totally agree with that because it seems to me like your grandma was like very, very foundational in your life. So I think storytelling is kind of cyclical. So I feel like you started there with how she is, and now, I mean, I'm presuming a lot, but I imagine the book's going to be kind of like you coming full circle to like become that type of person, like that strong woman character. So yeah, I thought, like, I know it's kind of hard because I'm writing something similar, and it's like kind of hard to figure out how you want to put it all together, but I think this is definitely like where you put it is definitely a good choice.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. I think that a lot of this, the pressure that I'm taking off myself is like, first, I'm giving myself permission to write a really shitty book. That's number one. Number two is I don't exactly know the order. I just know that once I have all the pieces, before it's published, the main picture is gonna come out for me. But I feel that, I really feel like I'm guided. Like, it's very crazy even to think, but I feel very guided in this process. So I'm just doing 50% of the work, and I feel like the universe is meeting me the other 50%. And that's what gives me that power to show up here and really just kind of give this to you guys. So thank you. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Anybody else have anything they want to add before we go to Mark?
Just briefly, but a couple things. Yes, like it's funny. I also, when I heard it was about your grandmother, like I would have never expected it, but then when I did hear it, I was like, that does make so much sense. Like there's a piece of you, it's almost even hard to put into words, but there's a piece of you that's very rooted in like that history, and I think it's beautiful. I also like responded really well to like how you described everything in the beginning. It was vivid, it was beautiful, it was sensual, you felt it. And it was also very interesting because you set up like a kind of very difficult emotional landscape in a very kind of beautiful physical landscape. So that was cool. And then there was something else that someone else said that I wanted to say as well, but I can't remember.
If it comes back to you, let me know. Babe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do. Yeah. Okay. We'll do that.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. It has been so good to do this. Like, it's literally the hardest and best thing I've done. So thank you for being here. Anybody else have anything that they want to add? Herman, Felicia, Stacy? Okay, amazing. Mark, I would love to have you now read to us your post, because Mark, just want to say a little bit about behind the story behind Mark. He is one of my very good friends. He's also my accountant, and high school, we have high school, elementary school, like I went a lot of, like we've known each other for a while. And he has battled with anxiety, and it's been a tough battle. I've been very much a part of it with him. We go boxing together. That was our thing before COVID. We used to go to boxing class. He is a beautiful human, and I never knew he was so talented with writing until I saw a couple of his latest posts, and I was like, look at you, Mark. You need to come and share this with us.
Yeah. It's like, I just thought about this, and I'm like, let me just start writing. So, and it's just because I've been trying to get my thoughts into place and just start thinking and write things down.
Thank you, Mark. So feel free, let's do it.
Right. So, dear anxiety, I've never died before, but sometimes you made it feel like I've been pretty damn close. The thing about having an anxiety attack is that it makes you feel like you're dying, but arguably in the worst possible way. It feels like you're drowning and about to combust into a sizzling, spectacular electrical mess. Your heart starts pounding so hard and fast that you feel like it might explode. While you're gasping for air because no matter how many times you try to fill your lungs, it's not enough. It hurts to inhale. It feels like someone is sitting on your chest. Your skin starts crawling as you start sweating, shaking, and fidgeting. It feels like if you stop moving, all that pent-up nervous energy will accumulate and you'll combust. You start crying because your hellish brain is making it so difficult to simply exist in this dimension. You just want to somehow rip your soul of your body because it's like inhibiting a toy that's short-circuiting in hot bath water. Meanwhile, your brain is basically going into overdrive, like it just took 5 shots of espresso in one sitting. Think of as many of your worst fears, your anxieties, your doubts, traumatic experiences, nightmares, stresses, insecurities, and your past mistakes. If you wrote out everything you could remember and then removed the spaces between each words and read it, you'd have an idea of the speed of the thoughts that go through your head when you're having a breakdown. So yeah, I might not have died before, but thanks for making me feel like I've been there. I won't sugarcoat this. It's hard to live with you sometimes. The thing about having you infecting my brain is that you're always there. I worry so much about everything in the worst way. I overthink everything, and I'm obsessed with it. It's an obsession with worrying about the smallest things, like how someone looked at you or the way you presented yourself to somebody. So we're thinking every single social situation you've been in. You take everything personally. It's so small, maybe someone's having a bad day, but you think they're taking it out on you. Then you keep thinking about it. It's wondering if your friends all hate you if they take longer than a few hours to respond to a text, or thinking that they don't want to be friends with you anymore if you see them hanging out without you. It's a feeling of impending doom that something bad is going to happen and there's nothing you can do to control it. It's hours spent staring blankly at my computer screen, trying to do work but not being able to because you can't stop thinking about how you're not good enough for your girlfriend and how she deserves far better than you. It's nights spent crying because you feel alone and frustrated and not being able to control how you feel that everyone is slowly distancing themselves from you. It's accepting that this will inevitably happen to you, people coming and going, and that there's absolutely nothing that can be done about it, so you cut them all off. But dear anxiety, there's a catch. It's hard to accept this nearly all the time, but this is all in my head. I may feel isolated, like I have no one left in my life, but that doesn't mean it's true. There are friends who, despite me trying to cut them off, understand it's not entirely my doing. There are friends who insist on staying and on amplifying my brightest days and carry me through my darkest ones. There are friends who persistently show love again and again, who make sure I seek help and therapy I need, and who are prepared to extend a helping hand in a heartbeat. So anxiety, it's very hard having you. You complicate my life, and you're exhausting to deal with sometimes. I admit it. It's hard to stay grounded in reality, but that's okay. Because one thing I've learned is that it's okay to have trouble being yourself. And even though some days it's harder to fight you back, it makes you stronger because I intend on winning every time. I have hoped to win until the end. And that was it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mark. Honestly, like I've seen your journey firsthand, and seeing the way in these past couple of months how you've been handling your anxiety and how you've been so proactive, and just the way you express yourself now and are so open about it. I really appreciate that, because it just gives permission for other people to be just as vulnerable. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate
Absolutely, Mark. It's amazing to hear you share that with everybody. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you. Everyone, mental health is health, and no one should be afraid to talking about it. Everyone should open up and feel free to share, and because we're all getting through this together. So.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Be
Super
able to talk
identifiable.
about it is a strength.
Pardon me?
To be able to talk about it and share it with us is a strength.
Yes, I agree. It is. It's hard sometimes, but I do, when I do express it, it's really hard to get it out of my chest. So.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Guys, thank you so much for coming and for being a part of my journey. Honestly, you guys are gonna get free signed copies, invited to my house in Colombia. We're having a vacation there. Everybody's coming. For those that believed in me from the beginning.
I'm in.
Let's go. Once this is over, Colombia 2021. Yes, thank you so much, guys. So my biggest goal is that I would love to have this book out of me literally before I turn 30. My birthday, September 5th. I am looking for a publishing house or someone that works with publishing. If you guys know anybody that I should connect to or know, I'm in the process of looking myself, but I'm always putting it out there in case you do know anybody or have any connections, or you can just keep an eye out for me if you hear of anybody that's, because I'm looking specifically for people that publish memoirs and stuff like that, because each publishing house has their forte, I guess. But I really appreciate it. I definitely want to do an audio on this because it is powerful to read it and to voice it. And I kind of, Rupi, that poet, Rupi Kaur, she does she stands up and reads her poems out loud. I love that. I think it's so beautiful because it's a different feeling when you have her read the poetry to you. So I wanted to mix this kind of to feel like that as well, to feel just as powerful as when you hear her read her poetry. So thank you so much for your feedback and for encouraging me on this journey, because you being here, you giving me this love, honestly, the hardest journey for myself is to be the authority in my own life, and to show up for yourself is the hardest thing. So thank you for being here and showing up for me. I love you guys. Lots of kisses. And I will be sharing this with you. I'll put it on YouTube if you missed the reading so you guys could hear it. Okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Thank
Love
you.
all. Bye.
All the best with the rest.
Bye.